assigned to complete his on-the-job training, or OJT, at a bustling seaside resort known as Dumaluan Beach Marilo Resort, aka the Hill Resort, or maybe not. He was excited at first, imagining sunsets by the beach, white sand, and a friendly guest, but reality hit him like a cold splash of seawater. His duty was 10 hours straight with no breaks, no meals, and only tips to keep him going. Welcome to the real world, his supervisor chuckled on his first day, patting him on the back like he had just signed for a military service. Mark's first department was dining, where he was tasked with serving guests during breakfast, lunch, dinner, rushes. He had barely memorized the table numbers when a guest asked for the special. Mark confidently replied, "Of course, sir," before realizing he had no idea what the special was. Despite the chaos, Mark learned to jumble trays, hand while pouring water with the other, narrowly avoid spills and occasional scolding from the head waiter. His secret to surviving those 10 hours, sneaking a bread roll when nobody was looking, or scavenging leftover food from the guests. Not his proudest moments, but desperate times called for desperate measures. His supervisor always seemed to know, raising an eyebrow every time Mark's cheeks looked a little puffier than usual. But the real lifesaver is tips. Those tiny coins and crumpled bills weren't just money. They were our motivation. The supervisor said tips needed to go into the tip box, but Mark, being a little too creative for his own good, had other plans. Let's just say his pockets and sometimes even his briefs were the real tip box. Bad decisions maybe, necessary for survival at the Maluan Resort, or we say, survival of the fittest. Next came kitchen duty. And Mark thought it couldn't possibly be harder than the dining area. He was wrong. The kitchen had no exhaust fan, make it hotter than hell, or Dumaluan Beach at noon, which is pretty much the same thing. The chefs worked like maniacs, barking orders while sweet poured like waterfalls. But there was one secret perk: food. As long as the owner wasn't around and the CCTV wasn't angled just right, Mark and his fellow OJTs went full on Assassin's Creed mode. A slice of meat here, a spoonful of rice there, tiny portions of the ordered food by the guests, enough to keep them going. Sometimes, the guests would wonder why their servings looks a little lighter than the menu photos. No mercy for the guests' survival of the hungry. Finally, Mark was assigned to housekeeping, where where he quickly learned that making beds was an Olympic sport. On his first attempt, he topped the sheet so tightly that the guests couldn't pull him back, resulting in a call to the front desk. Despite the 10-hour shifts, no breaks, and a constant grumbling stomach, Mark survived thanks mostly to the generous tips, stolen bites of food, and his own sense of humor. His classmates and co-workers became his lifeline. No week passed without a round of drinks, a dip in the beach, or some good old-fashioned plastican or tea. It wasn't perfect, but it was there. Toxic management or not, defined joy in the chaos, bonding over the absurdity of it. And maybe, just maybe, Mark would return to Dumaluan Beach someday, not as an OGT, but as a guest with a beach view, room service, and a proper meal that didn't require Assassin's Creed style to apply.